All right, welcome back. We got our weekly stock market update. We're going to go over some news first. We'll look at some charts, and then we'll look at the heat map for the week and see what's coming for the week ahead. We did kick off Q4 this week, and to kick things off, looks like oil had a nice bounce back week this week. Let's take a quick peek here. So oil, 4 days up, 5 days up. A lot of this is going to be due to the Middle East tensions and then also the port strike. You're going to see a rise in oil. But we are still in a clear downtrend for oil. We will see if we break out of this downtrend and move back up. I think it's unlikely to be the case, but we will have to wait and see. We also had some iPhone news this week. It looks like the demand for the iPhone 16 is weaker than expected. I've got my old iPhone right here. I needed to upgrade. I think that's an iPhone 12. And I wanted something different, so I got something different. I went with the Samsung foldable. I didn't see any reason to go for the new iPhone, and sounds like other people are doing the same. They're either waiting or just going for something else. So I really do like this foldable phone. I really like the big screen. It does take some getting used to if you are a huge Apple user. This was my first iPhone, the iPhone 12. Had it for a handful of years. It's nice. I'll probably just keep it around as a little burner phone, something I can take when I go out in the heat or go for runs. But I don't miss the Apple ecosystem at all. I'm very flexible when it comes to that. Anyways, China. So last week we talked about the Chinese money printer. The Beijing bazooka is what I also heard it as referred to. But let's take a look at some of these Chinese stocks. We're just going to look at the K-Web, which is the internet names for China. Looks like their stimulation is working. So good if you own those names. I don't play with these names. I'm not going to chase this at all. We are still just in the dumpster, but I don't remember them running up this much in 2021. I probably was. There's other things to pay attention to. Everything was ripping in 2021, but just look at that blow off top and just collapse. So anyways, there's a lot of money flowing around over there. The other piece that I did hear this week is that China went to all of their banks and said, all existing mortgages, you must cut the existing mortgage rate. So if you've been in a house for 5 years in China, that you just got to cut on your interest rate for your mortgage. So very stimulative, very interesting. The debate here is going to be, is this a lasting change, and is this going to be a lasting flow of money to China, or is this just a quick trade, a lot of short covering? We have seen some volatility here where Alibaba be up 10% and then it'd be down 10%. So I don't know. I'm not going to play with this. There's just not enough transparency. There is some good businesses over there, but just not my cup of tea. There's enough to do here in the United States, and also if you want to start venturing out, Europe. But for me, I just stick to American companies. But it is interesting to see all the stimulus going around, and now we're seeing the effect. We will see if this holds up. What else is on the news here? The port strike. That was a big nothing burger. I heard about this a little bit towards the beginning of the week, a little bit over the weekend. Oh, here we go. I heard some people were taking pictures of the lines at Costco and Sam's Club. And there you go, market is closed. But looks like that was resolved quickly, which is good because we don't need any supply chain disruptions. So it's good that got resolved. To me, what's interesting about this is we're still at the beginning stages of AI and robotics, and we're going to hear more and more of these existing jobs that are going to be disrupted. People are going to be clinging on and resisting the automation that's coming. And I get it. It's a complex situation. I feel really bad for the people that are going to be displaced. But also automation and robotics is going to open more doors for a bunch of jobs that we just don't know what they're going to be yet. So we used to all be farmers. Today was they came out with the non-farm payroll number, which we'll look at in a little bit. Non-farm payroll, right? So we used to categorize jobs as farmers and non-farmers. Pretty interesting. So um, it's going to be interesting to see how much more of this goes on. We saw it in Hollywood, we saw it in the strike in Long Beach at their ports, where they said we want a pay raise, but also we want no automation. We saw with the writer's strike, they said we don't want AI. We want to make sure that we're doing the work. We don't want the computers doing the work. So it's interesting because you can only hold back technology for so long before it just completely disrupts industries. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm on the optimistic side, where for every job that'll be displaced, there'll be two more opportunities created, and it'll be a net positive for the world than a net negative. It's not AI is going to take all our jobs and be the Terminator. That's a possibility, but I just don't think I don't think that's going to be the main outlook here. So Federal Reserve, I don't know what happened here with the Fed, but I do want to talk about interest rates, because we are seeing interest rates kind of shoot back up, which is interesting. So I would have expected that we would continue to fall. I'm not sure why the market is expecting rates to be higher for longer now. They just did a 50 basis point cut, and maybe the market's saying they won't do more 50 basis points. They're expecting 25 from here on out. But I think it's highly unlikely that they pause. So maybe the market's just starting to price in a slower cut than what they thought a few weeks ago. But anyways, I am looking at the TLT, which is an ETF where you buy the TLT when you are bullish on interest rates to go down. So let's take a zoom out here. TLT's been getting hammered because of the rate at which we increased rates post the pandemic. So here's the pandemic when rates were zero. We've talked about the TLT. I've made videos on the TLT. I've traded the TLT a few times. I don't mind this re-entry here. So I'm going to look at this over the weekend. I'm going to do a little bit of a deep dive on why these rates are climbing back up. But I don't think this is a trend, right? I think rates are going down, and we're just seeing a little retracement. I expect rates to continue to come down. So we'll have to wait and see what the speed at which the rate cuts will come, and I don't know when their next meeting is. I think after the election. Everyone just hang in. We're almost through this circus that we call the election. So let's go ahead, look at some dumbbells. Let's go ahead and look at the heat map for the week. Really not a lot going on here. So you had some money coming back in the chips. Microsoft down. Amazon, Tesla down. It was a red day on Monday. It was a red day. I think early in the week there was some blood. As we talked about, beginning of the month, the last 2 months, August and September, I noticed a trend where we kind of fall off a cliff at the beginning of the month, and then the rest of the month we recover. We'll have to see what next week brings, but as we saw with the oil chart, you're going to see energy having a nice week. Meta doing really well. I can't believe Meta's almost $600. There's a lot of optimism around their glasses. Google having a good week as well. Tesla was red on their delivery numbers, which I thought their delivery numbers weren't too bad. I will make a video on Tesla this week. We are due. We've got a huge week coming up next week for their AI day. Nike was down 8%. I think they stopped giving guidance. And we've got the quality semis that had a good week, and the not so quality not looking so good. So Intel down another 6% this week. Micron down 5%. But you had Nvidia, AMD, and Broadcom all up this week. The bank's having a good week as well. But nothing else that really stands out to me here. Let's go ahead and pull up the economic calendar, see what we got. So there was a speech from Jerome Powell this week. We had the JOLTS numbers come in okay. This morning and yesterday we had some unemployment numbers and some jobs claims, but the big one here is going to be the non-farm payroll. The expectation was 147 and it was a big beat of 254. So a lot of jobs added. The unemployment rate went down from 4.2 to 4.1. So hopefully that's real numbers and those aren't to be revised in a later date. Let's hope that's the case. And as far as next week, what do we got on tap? We've got the Fed meeting minutes on Wednesday, and then we have CPI on Thursday. Other than that, just a lot of yapping from the Federal Reserve. And then we've got PPI on Friday. So not a whole lot going on next week. It will be interesting to see the CPI numbers. I think we're going to still see cooler numbers. The expectation is 2.3%. Again, it's not, it's still, prices are going up, but the rate of change is slower. So we'll have to wait and see what that'll do with interest rates. But if we get a cool number, I expect to see interest rates plummet again. So that's what we got coming next week. And then Tesla's big AI day. And I believe Nike had their earnings. So we are at the beginning stages of earnings season, which I really like. I like to see the proof in the earnings. Proof is in the pudding. So I'll be releasing videos one by one as we come out. The last thing I want to talk about is the advancement of AI. It's getting unbelievable. So I kind of took a break from ChatGPT a couple months ago. I'm really starting to get back into it. The voice feature is incredible. I like throwing my AirPods in and just bouncing questions off of it, asking it certain things, getting some information while I'm doing other tasks so I don't have to sit there and type. But this notebook LLM is very interesting. I'm still playing around with it. I highly recommend everyone go in there and play around. But basically, you put in these sources and then it can do all kinds of things. You're basically creating your own LLM based on what you input into it. And then you can also have it create a podcast about the content you put in. Pretty interesting. I'm playing around with this. I'll probably upload some podcasts of some articles that I've written. I'll just have the AI summarize it, and I'll put that on YouTube so you guys can check it out. But I recommend, if you've taken a break from AI, go back in and play with these tools again, because they just keep getting better and better week by week, and it's really going to make our lives a lot easier. So I'm excited about where things are going. I'm super bullish on technology. I just want to get through this election, and then let's see what goes on from there. And that's really all I got for this week. Not a huge eventful week this week. And once we get into some earnings, we'll start to see some more movement in the market. We are getting closer to the election. I think we're around 30 days. So I still expect to see some choppiness and volatility. But that is all for this week. Everybody have a great weekend, and I will see you all next week. Be on the lookout for my Tesla video this week to preview this week's AI day. So that's all I got for you. Peace out.